Hi, welcome to U.N.I.Q.U.E Parenting. I am B. Moise, and today we're going to talk about learning styles, part 2. If you did not get an opportunity to look at part 1, please do so because it covers 4 other type of learning styles. And today I'm going to cover 4 additional ones. I did briefly go over a kind of 5th one, which was combination, which is, having different types all together, not just necessarily one, so just 2 or more. So that was kind of covered in part 1. So you may have more than one type of learning style. You may, be very strong at one and prefer that one, but you may also have others that also suits your style of learning and how you take information. Now, I like talking about learning styles because if you understand how you learn, then you'll understand how your children learn and you understand how others learn. And that way you can see that not every piece of information can be presented the same way. I think that's why, kids have, neurodivergent children especially have a hard time in academia and academics. The learning style may not be suitable for them. How it's being taught may not be the best approach for that child. And because of this, there seems to be like this gap, and then children do not look like they're, taking the information the same way as others because they're just not being taught based off their learning style. So yeah, I wish we could, do this differently. And I wish there was a way we can teach children based on how they learn, because it would make things easier, but that's not where we're at. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. So logical. Logical is another type of learning style where basically it is exactly what you hear, where basically it's just easier for the person to learn the information if it's logic. Like if it just makes sense, if it's concrete, like it's just like, this is this is that, this is the logical way of reasoning. Now, a lot of people learn, or some people learn from an emotional base. If you're an emotional learner and you have a logical child, so for example, you can't tell a logical person, like, this makes me feel really sad and I don't like the way that made me feel, and that's just not, do you understand where I'm coming from? Don't you feel what I'm feeling? There's a lot of feelings involved in that conversation, and if that person is heavy on the logic, they may need you to kind of create like an outline of, what do you mean by that? Like, I don't understand. Like, can you break it down for me logically? So that's someone who learns logically. My son's a logical learner. It's basically black and white. I mean, obviously, well, it may not be obvious, part of it is because he's on the spectrum. So, if you tell him to put something down, he'll just plop it down where it is, because logically speaking, that makes sense, as opposed to just being a little bit more, reaching out for more pieces of information. So he's a logical thinker. I also am a little bit of a logical thinker, but I can subscribe to others as well. Social. So social basically means you learn new things as part of a group. Like, you're really good when group projects and when people are together, there's like a social gathering. Another interesting thing about social learning or social learner, they can also do the same thing, like if they're in an environment where there's socially active things going on. So it may not necessarily be in a group project, but if they're by themselves, but they're in a social environment, they can learn best because it's just better for them and they process information better that way. That is a social learner. There's solitary. That's another one. So solitary is basically what it is. It's basic. You like your solitude. You learn best by being by yourself. You do not do well in group projects. Solitude is your thing. Quiet, peacefulness, away from the crowd is your vibe. So that's another way that someone learns. So let's say you have a child doing homework and they are a social learner, right? They may like doing homework around the family. They may prefer that, even though it may look like it's distracting and it's loud and it's irritating. That may be a preference for them. So it's not a bad thing. But if you have a child that learns best in solitude, they may not do well sitting at the kitchen table or sitting at, the countertop. It's not going to be effective for them. Like that's not the way they learn. So then it makes it more complicated and it makes it more difficult. Now, you can also have someone who learns with a combination of both, where some things they prefer to be by themselves and they like solitude, while others they prefer to be in the group learning dynamic. Sometimes it's just based on the subject. Like if you like the subject, you may prefer it. I am a solitude doing, like I like to do things on my own when I have something to think about and to come up with. Like if I have a task, I need to be by myself to get it done. However, if it's more of a group project, I like hearing other ideas, but then I want to take that idea and then develop it on my own. So I guess I still fall back into solitude. So again, that's that combination. Like you may not necessarily be one. In the first video, I talked about how I am a auditory learner and I also love visual things. So I like to see and hear. Those are the two ways that I learn best. So if I was gonna like say, in all of these different things, which one I do best with, it would be solitude and auditory. So leave me alone and give me some music. That's my learning style. Where someone may be something different and you may be different. And remember, your learning style will not necessarily mirror your children, or your children will not necessarily mirror your learning style. So that's why I do these videos, is to educate you guys and to give you information about we have unique brains. And because it's unique, because it's different, because it processes information in ways that, we're learning about and that we know are, different for different people, you cannot apply the same principles just on the exact same situation. Like you cannot apply parenting this kid this way and then wonder why it's not working with the other one, because the other one is different, or vice versa. So that's why I do these videos, so to give you some information and some insight about, just your learning style as well as your child's, and so that you can do things to make home life easier and to make it enjoyable. So that's why I always end my videos with, in the meantime, enjoy your unique parenting journey with your unique learning style child.